This is AI News Today, and here's what happened in the world of AI in the last 7 days. Let's kick things off with some major moves from Google. The tech giant just hosted its annual Made by Google showcase in New York City, and this year, they completely flipped the script. Instead of the usual keynote format, they went with a late-night talk show vibe, complete with Jimmy Fallon hosting executives and celebrities. But the real star of the show was their AI integration across practically everything they announced. Google unveiled 4 new Pixel 10 phones starting at $800, and while they look nearly identical to last year's models, Google is betting big that smarter AI-powered software will be enough to win over users. These phones are packed with Gemini AI features like visual overlays for the camera, something called Magic Cue that proactively helps you, and even a camera coach to improve your photography skills. They also introduced voice translate for calls and an assistant-like feature called Take a Message. Under the hood, Google's new Tensor G5 chip, now built by TSMC instead of Samsung, offers 60% more powerful AI processing compared to its predecessor. This should enable better on-device AI features and potentially solve those overheating issues from previous generations. But Google didn't stop at phones. They announced something called Gemini for Home, which might be their biggest smart home upgrade in years. It's a new AI assistant that can handle complex requests around your house, create cooking suggestions based on what's actually in your fridge, and comes packed with Gemini Live for natural conversations. Even their wearables got the AI treatment. The Pixel Watch 4 now has an AI health coach that personalizes workouts based on your sleep data, while the new Pixel Buds include AI-powered gesture controls that let you accept or decline calls simply by nodding your head. Pretty wild, right? Now, shifting gears to some fascinating developments in robotics. Waymo, Google's self-driving car subsidiary, just got approval to test robo-taxis in New York City. This is huge because they're deploying up to 8 Jaguar I-Pace SUVs through late September, though safety operators still need to keep at least one hand on the wheel. New York's notorious traffic far exceeds the complexity of Waymo's current markets, so if they can crack the Big Apple, it could unlock the world's largest and most lucrative urban mobility market. Speaking of big money moves, Field AI just raised $405 million across 2 funding rounds, hitting a $2 billion valuation. The company, which is backed by heavy hitters like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and NVIDIA, develops AI models that help robots work across construction, energy, and logistics with minimal setup. Founded by former NASA researcher Ali Agha, they've been rapidly expanding their team to meet enterprise demand for automation solutions. Here's something that really caught my attention. We're seeing robots being deployed in some pretty unexpected places. Hong Kong is about to unleash robot dogs equipped with insecticide sprayers to combat the chikungunya virus. These quadruped robots will target mosquito breeding sites on hillsides and areas that human control teams simply can't reach safely. Meanwhile, in the UK, Nottinghamshire Police is conducting a 3-month trial of AI-equipped robot dogs that could completely transform policing by 2026. These $24,000 units come with weapon detection cameras, LiDAR scanning, and remote communication capabilities. They're designed to enter dangerous situations like sieges and hostage scenarios instead of putting human officers at risk. On the medical front, Australian surgeons achieved something incredible. They used 2 robotic systems simultaneously to remove a throat tumor while preserving a patient's voice and swallowing ability. This world-first procedure helped a 27-year-old patient avoid a total laryngectomy that would have permanently removed his voice box. It's a perfect example of how dual robot integration is achieving surgical outcomes that were previously considered impossible. Let's talk about some market dynamics that are shaking things up. Tech stocks took a hit this week after an MIT study found that 95% of companies are getting zero return from their AI investments. This reality check, combined with Sam Altman's recent admission that investors might be getting overexcited about AI's prospects, sent NVIDIA stock down 3.5% and Palantir plummeting over 9%. But here's where it gets interesting. While Western markets were spooked, China's DeepSeek just released their V3.1 model with 685 billion parameters. This model scored 71.6% on the prestigious Aider coding benchmark, rivaling Claude Opus 4 at a fraction of the cost. We're talking about just over $1 per coding task compared to nearly $70 for proprietary alternatives. That's a game changer. On the funding front, things are absolutely wild. Anthropic is reportedly closing in on a $10 billion funding round, potentially tripling their valuation from the current $61.5 billion. And get this, OpenAI staff are preparing to sell around $6 billion worth of shares to investors, including SoftBank, which would make OpenAI the world's most valuable startup at a $500 billion valuation. Microsoft made some interesting moves too. They launched a Copilot AI function directly in Excel that lets you perform generative tasks right in your spreadsheets. You can now summarize feedback, categorize data, and even pull information from outside sources just by typing a simple formula. It's currently in beta and requires their $30 monthly Microsoft 365 Copilot subscription. Here's a story that really highlights how AI is changing entire industries. India's tech giant Tata Consultancy Services just announced over 12,000 layoffs, the largest in the company's history. While they cited skill mismatches, industry experts are calling it what it really is: early evidence of AI automating jobs in the $283 billion outsourcing sector. According to the World Economic Forum, industries dealing with high-quality structured data are seeing AI adoption rates as high as 60 to 70%. But it's not all doom and gloom. The same report predicts that while 92 million jobs might be at risk across industries, 170 million new roles are expected to emerge. The real challenge is bridging the gap between disappearing jobs and emerging ones and ensuring workers have the skills for these new opportunities. In the creativity space, we're seeing some fascinating developments. Adobe just rolled out Acrobat Studio, an AI-powered workspace designed to manage multiple PDF documents. The centerpiece feature, called PDF Spaces, lets you deploy AI assistants to summarize, analyze, and chat about your document collections. And here's something that perfectly captures the current AI moment. Nearly 90% of video game developers are now using AI agents to automate repetitive tasks, according to a new Google Cloud study. The technology is helping studios tackle rising development costs by handling things like content optimization and processing code, audio, and video, freeing up human talent for the creative work. One story that really stood out this week came from Afghanistan. A secret robotics club called Voices of Hope, made up of Afghan women computer science students who've been barred from university since 2022, has built 2 fully functional robots from their homes using online resources and AI tutorials. Despite facing one of the most restrictive environments for women in the world, this team of 6 created robots capable of object recognition and remote operation for just $430 each. It's an incredibly inspiring example of how AI education and online resources can empower people even in the most challenging circumstances. Looking at some of the more experimental developments, researchers at LIGO, the gravitational wave detector, are using AI to design physics experiments that initially looked so bizarre that human scientists dismissed them as incomprehensible. But it turns out, the AI had rediscovered obscure decades-old theoretical principles from Russian physicists that had never been tested experimentally. The AI's counterintuitive design could make LIGO 10 to 15% more sensitive, a massive improvement for an instrument that can already sense incredibly tiny changes in space-time. We're also seeing AI create what researchers are calling seemingly conscious AI, and it's raising some important questions about the future of human-AI interaction. Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman recently talked about the rise of AI that appears conscious and the unique challenges this presents as these systems become more sophisticated. On a lighter note, there's been some interesting social media buzz this week. Researchers created a social media network populated entirely by AI bots, and surprisingly, the bots ended up at war with each other. It's a fascinating look at how AI systems might behave when left to interact without human oversight. The pace of innovation we're seeing is truly unprecedented. Companies like Mira Murati's Thinking Machines Lab launched in February and had raised $2 billion by July at a $12 billion valuation. We've never seen anything like this speed of wealth creation and technological development. What's particularly interesting is how AI companies can leverage existing cloud computing resources and distribution channels to scale almost instantly. unlike previous waves of innovation that required building physical infrastructure or slowly accumulating users over time. As we